On Saturday evening, just before 9, a man named Lundre Sylvester was leaving the jail. He went by the rap name KTS Dre. He'd just been bailed out, and police say he was ambushed by two men who got out of a vehicle near the jail. Sylvester was shot as many as 64 times and pronounced dead at Mount Sinai.
July 10th, 2021. Rain falling on the streets outside Cook County Jail in Chicago. A 31-year-old man steps out into the night, fresh ankle bracelet strapped on, walking toward what he thought was freedom. His fiancée had posted bail the day before. He was finally getting out, but someone was watching. 2 cars, parked, waiting. He takes a few steps toward a waiting vehicle. A 60-year-old woman walks beside him, the same woman who'd just put up $5,000 to get him out. Another woman, a jail worker, stands nearby. Then the doors open. Gunmen pour out. No words, no warning, just gunfire. Rapid, relentless, brutal. The man's body jerks as bullets tear through his head, face, chest. The woman beside him screams, hit in the knee. The other woman drops, grazed across the face. Shell casings rain down on wet pavement. When it's over, 59 casings litter the street. A bloody shirt lies crumpled on the sidewalk. The shooters? Gone, vanished into the night like ghosts. The man's name was Lundre Sylvester. You might know him as KTS Dre. And here's the thing. He'd just walked out of jail. Someone knew exactly when. Someone was waiting. But how? This wasn't random. This was a message. And the story behind it? Way darker than you think. Welcome to our channel. If you're ready for a story that'll mess with your head, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and share this video. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from today? Let's get into it. Lundre Sylvester was 31 years old when he died. To the streets of Chicago, he was KTS Dre. To his fans, Cutthroat Draco. To his enemies, a target with a countdown clock. ATS, 3 letters tattooed on his neck beneath a gun sight. Killed to survive. Not a stage name, a lifestyle, a warning, a promise. And for Lundre, it was prophecy. He was born into violence. His father, Vincent Vin Davis, was a gangster disciple. In 2016, Vin was murdered. His half-brother, KT's Vaughn, was killed in 2015. His cousin Zeko, shot dead in 2008. The KT's gang, a faction of the gangster disciples operating on Chicago's South Side, ran through his bloodline like a curse. His siblings, his half-brothers, all tied to the same crew, all living under the same code. Violence wasn't something that happened to this family. It was in their DNA. Lundre didn't run from it, he rapped about it. His music was raw, unfiltered, dangerous. He appeared in videos with other KTS members, his brother KTS Vaughn's Kill to Survive and Street Life back in 2015. In December 2019, he dropped NLMBK PT Top with Cutthroat Rio. His lyrics weren't fantasy, they were documentation. Confessions set to beats. Every bar was a glimpse into a world most people only see on the news. But here's the thing about drill rap in Chicago. It's not just music. It's warfare. Beefs don't stay online. Disses don't stay in the booth. They spill into the streets. And when you're as visible as KTS Dre, when your face is in videos and your name is in songs, you're not just an artist. You're a walking bullseye. Police reports identified him as a member of the Lakeside faction of the gangster disciples. His mugshots showed that tattoo loud and clear. Kill to survive with a target etched into his skin. It wasn't just ink. It was identity. It was defiance, and, to his rivals, it was an invitation. Lundre lived in 2 worlds. One, where he was a talented artist with a growing fan base, creating music that resonated with people who saw their own struggles in his words. The other, where he was a marked man, tangled in feuds that stretched back years, bound by a code that demanded loyalty and retaliation in equal measure. His music predicted his own death, not in some vague, poetic way, but in the brutal honesty of someone who knew the odds. He rapped about survival because survival was all he had. He rapped about death because death was always close. By July 2021, he'd been in and out of jail, in and out of trouble, in and out of the system's revolving door, but he was still here, still rapping, still surviving, until he wasn't. The streets don't forget, rivalries don't expire, and in a city where violence is currency and retaliation is religion, being KTS Dre meant living on borrowed time. His music was a confession. His life was a countdown. And on that rainy Saturday night, outside Cook County Jail, the clock ran out. Ever heard a song that felt like a confession? That was KTS Dre's whole catalog. Drop a comment if you've heard his music before. Londra Sylvester's first gun conviction came in 2015. He was young, already deep in diploma life, and parole became his new reality. But parole in Chicago isn't freedom, it's a leash. And Londra kept pulling. Fast forward to April 2020, Auburn Gresham neighborhood. Someone calls the cops, reports a man with a gun in his car. Officers roll up to a gas station in the 8200 block of South Halstead Street, and there he is, Londra, sitting behind the wheel of a white Jaguar sedan parked right beside the pump. Casual, comfortable, and completely unbothered by the 9mm Glock pistol sitting in his lap. The officers approach. Londra sees them, and instead of complying, he puts the car in gear. Big mistake. Here's the kicker. He was already on parole from that 2015 conviction. This wasn't just another charge, this was strike two, and the system doesn't forget. By December 2020, Londra cut a deal. House arrest. GPS ankle monitor strapped to his leg 24/7. A judge gave him 4 hours every Thursday to run errands, groceries, appointments, whatever he needed. 4 hours. That was it. It was freedom, technically, but it was also a cage with slightly longer walls. For months, he played by the rules, stayed home, checked in, kept his head down, but on June 11th, 2021, everything fell apart. Sheriff's officials claimed he violated his conditions. Their accusation? He'd been hitting various locations in Chicago and Wisconsin during his allowed time. They said he wasn't running errands, he was moving around, going places he shouldn't be. Londra's public defender fired back, called for a bond hearing, argued that Londra was arrested after running errands during the allotted time on the allotted day of the week. In other words, he did exactly what he was supposed to do, and they still came for him. So what's the truth? Was Londra really violating his house arrest, or was this a technicality blown out of proportion? Was he being watched closer because of who he was? KTS Dre, a known gang member, a drill rapper with enemies? Or did he actually slip up? The debate doesn't matter to the system. Judge Lawrence Flood set bond at $50,000. To get out, Londra needed to post $5,000, and just like that, he was back in Cook County Jail. Here's the thing people don't talk about. At the time, there were 3,500 people on electronic monitoring in Cook County. 3,500. Londra was just one more name on a list, one more case file in a system drowning in cases. The ankle monitors were supposed to keep people accountable, keep them safe, keep the public safe. But in reality, they were just digital leashes on people the system had already given up on. But to someone else, he was a priority, because here's the thing. Someone was keeping track of that list. Someone knew he was locked up. Someone knew when his fiancée posted that $5,000 bail on Friday, July 9th. Someone knew he'd be walking out of Cook County Jail within 24 hours, and they were waiting. The system saw Londra as just another name, but his enemies? They saw him as unfinished business. And while the courts shuffled paperwork, and judges set bonds, and deputies fitted ankle bracelets, someone out there was making plans. Plans that involved 2 cars, multiple shooters, and 64 bullets. Londra thought he was getting out. He thought he was going home. He had no idea he was walking into an execution. Friday, July 9th, 2021. Londra Sylvester's fiancée walks into the courthouse and puts up $5,000 cash. Bond posted. Release approved. Freedom was 24 hours away. Or so he thought. The court records show the bail was secured Friday afternoon. Londra should have walked out that same day, but he didn't. He stayed in Cook County Jail overnight. And that's where things get strange. Why didn't he leave Friday? The official story? Processing delays. Paperwork, the usual bureaucratic mess that comes with releasing someone from custody. Cook County Jail isn't exactly known for speed. Maybe it was just bad timing, maybe the system moved slow like it always does. But here's the thing, nobody really talks about why he stayed that extra night. And in a case like this, timing is everything. Some people think it was just the system being the system. Paperwork piled up, staff stretched thin. Launder's release got pushed to Saturday because that's how jails work. Slow, inefficient, indifferent. Others, they're not so sure. Because here's what we know. Laundrie walked out of that jail on Saturday night, July 10th, around 8:50 p.m. and within minutes, 2 cars were on him. Shooters ready, guns loaded, no hesitation. That kind of precision doesn't happen by accident. That's not luck. That's planning. So the question becomes, did someone inside tip off the shooters? Think about it. Jails aren't airtight. Information leaks. Guards talk. Inmates have phones. Visitors pass messages. If someone wanted to know when Laundrie was getting out, it wouldn't be that hard to find out. And if someone wanted him dead, knowing the exact time and location of his release would be everything. Was it an inside job? Or just a tragic coincidence? We don't know. The Cook County Sheriff's Office deferred all comments to the Chicago Police Department, and the police? They declined to release any details about how the shooters knew when and where to strike. What we do know is this. On Saturday evening, before Laundrie walked out, they fitted him with an electronic monitoring device, strapped an ankle bracelet on him. Like that was going to save him, like a piece of plastic and a GPS chip could stop what was coming. Somewhere in Chicago, phones were ringing, plans were being made, cars were being positioned, guns were being loaded, and Laundrie Sylvester, sitting in a cell waiting for his release paperwork, had no idea. He thought he was going home. He thought he was getting a second chance. He didn't know he was walking into a trap. Yo, if you're hooked right now, prove it. Hit that like button and drop a comment. Do you think someone inside the jail tipped off the shooters? Let's hear your theories. Saturday evening, July 10th, 2021. Light rain falling on the 2700 block of South California Avenue. The air is thick, heavy. The kind of night where everything feels off. Laundrie Sylvester walks out of Cook County Jail just before 9 p.m. Fresh ankle bracelet on. Freedom, finally. With him are 2 women, a 60-year-old woman who'd posted his bail and a 35-year-old jail worker. They're heading toward a waiting car parked on the street, steps away, just a few more steps. Then everything explodes. 2 cars pull up, fast. Doors fly open. Multiple shooters pour out, weapons already raised. No words, no warning, just gunfire. The sound is deafening, rapid, relentless, brutal. Laundrie's body jerks as bullets rip through him. Head, face, chest. He doesn't have time to run, doesn't have time to react. The shots come so fast, so many, that he's hit 64 times before he even hits the ground. The 60-year-old woman beside him screams, clutching her knee as a bullet tears through it. The 35-year-old jail worker drops, grazed across the face, blood everywhere, chaos, screaming. And then, just as suddenly as it started, it stops. The shooters don't panic. They don't run. They walk back to their cars. Calm, methodical, like they'd just finished a job. Doors close, engines rev, and they're gone, disappearing into the night in opposite directions. Block away, a woman who'd come to visit a detainee is sitting in her car, talking to another visitor. She hears the first shots. "I thought it was fireworks," she'd later tell the Sun-Times. She looks at the other woman. "Those sounded really close." Then she hears it again. 2 pops. Then more, a cadence that couldn't be anything but gunfire. Both women duck inside their cars, hearts pounding, waiting for it to stop. When the shooting finally ends, a Cook County Sheriff's officer approaches her window. "Young lady, I think you better move your car." At first, she laughs it off. Fireworks, right? But the officer's face is serious. Those were gunshots. She sits there, frozen, processing what just happened. And then the thought hits her. the one that'll haunt her for the rest of her life. I can't stop thinking that if I hadn't stopped to talk to my friend, I could have been in that area when they were shooting. I was supposed to be over there. Police arrived to a scene straight out of a war zone. 59 shell casings scattered across the wet pavement. Dozens of yellow evidence markers dotting the street, each one marking where a bullet fell. A bloody shirt crumpled on the sidewalk near the jail exit, rain slowly washing the blood into the gutter. Londra Sylvester is rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital. Doctors try, but there's nothing they can do. 64 bullets, head, face, chest. He never had a chance. He's pronounced dead. The two women survive. The 60-year-old is taken to Stroger Hospital with a gunshot wound to the knee, listed in good condition. The 35-year-old, grazed in the face, is taken to Mount Sinai, also in good condition. But Londra? He's gone. The man who survived the streets, survived jail, survived years of violence and retaliation, gunned down in front of the place that was supposed to release him back into the world. 64 bullets. That's not just murder. That's a message, and whoever sent it made sure everyone heard it loud and clear. The police response was immediate, but the answers? Nowhere to be found. Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown didn't hold back. He was furious. A violent repeat offender, he called Londra, someone who should have never been released in the first place. Brown went hard on the bail system, calling electronic monitoring a joke, a band-aid on a bullet wound. How many times does this have to happen before we admit the system isn't working, he said, pushing for stricter bail policies and tighter oversight. And the timing? Brutal. On Monday, just 2 days after Londra's murder, Brown was scheduled to meet with President Joe Biden alongside law enforcement leaders from across the country. The topic? Rising violence in American cities. Londra's execution became Exhibit A. But here's the problem. Outrage doesn't solve cases, and this one, full of questions with no answers. How did the shooters know when Londra would be released? His fiancée posted bail Friday. He didn't walk out until Saturday night. That's not public information. That's not something you can just Google. So how did they know the exact time and location? Why Saturday night and not Friday? If they were watching the jail, would they have been ready Friday when the bail was posted? Or did someone tell them to wait because he wasn't coming out until Saturday? Was there a leak inside the jail? Guards, staff, inmates, someone had access to release schedules? Someone knew. And if that someone passed the information along, Londra never stood a chance. Who ordered the hit? This wasn't some random beef. This was planned, coordinated. 2 cars, multiple shooters, 64 bullets. That level of execution doesn't happen without someone calling the shots. And let's talk about those 64 bullets. You don't need 64 bullets to kill someone. A few shots would have done the job. But 64? That's not about killing. That's about making a statement. That's about sending a message to anyone watching. This is what happens. Police combed the area, searching for footage, hoping someone's camera caught the cars, the shooters, something. But as of the latest reports, no arrests. The shooters vanished, and the case went cold. The 2 women who survived, the 60-year-old who posted Londra's bail and the 35-year-old jail worker, both made it out alive. Physically, they recovered. But the trauma? That doesn't just go away. They were there. They saw it. They'll carry that night with them forever. And here's the context people forget. Londra's murder wasn't an isolated incident. It was one of 10 homicides that weekend in Chicago. 10. In one weekend. 40 shootings total. The city was drowning in violence, and Londra was just another name added to the list. But his death hit different, because it happened right outside the jail, in front of witnesses, in front of cameras, and still, no one's been caught. What do you think happened here? Inside job? Gang retaliation? Drop your theory in the comments. Chicago's drill rap scene is a war zone set to music. Some call it art, others call it ammunition. The truth? It's both. Drill rap documents street life in real time. The beefs, the losses, the retaliation. But it doesn't just reflect violence, it fuels it. A diss track drops, and suddenly old wounds reopen. A music video goes viral, and rivals take it personal. What starts online ends in blood. KTS Dre's music was raw, real, and dangerous. He didn't sugarcoat anything. His videos featured other KTS members, his lyrics spoke directly to the life he lived, and that life tied to the Lakeside faction of the Gangster Disciples, a crew with enemies stretching back years, even decades. These weren't new beefs, they were inherited, passed down like family heirlooms. Someone's brother gets killed, so you retaliate. Then their cousin gets killed, so they retaliate. It never ends. And drill rap? It keeps score. Social media made it worse. Disses that used to stay in the streets now go viral. Threats that used to be whispered are now posted for thousands to see. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, every platform became a battlefield. And every post, every lyric, every video was another move in a deadly game of chess. KTS Dre wasn't the first drill rapper killed, and he won't be the last. The list keeps growing. Young men with talent, with futures, gunned down because their music made them visible, because their fame made them targets. That's the paradox. The more popular you get, the bigger the target on your back. Success doesn't protect you, it exposes you. Your face is everywhere, your location is tracked, your enemies know your schedule, and when they decide it's time, there's nowhere to hide. KTS Dre rapped about survival, he rapped about death, he rapped about the streets that raised him and the violence that defined him, and in the end, he became his own prophecy. So here's the question nobody wants to answer. Does drill rap cause violence, or does it just reflect it? Some say the music is the problem, that it glorifies killing, escalates beef, and puts young men in danger. Others say it's just a mirror, showing the world what's already happening in communities the world ignores. Maybe it's both. Maybe the line between art and reality got so blurred that nobody knows where one ends and the other begins. What's clear is this. In Chicago's drill scene, fame and death walk hand in hand. Why wasn't there extra security for high-risk individuals? Why no staggered release times? Why no protection for someone everyone knew was a target? Because the system doesn't work that way. It's a revolving door. Arrests, releases, repeat. Londra was just another case file in an overloaded system that had already given up. Everyone knew when he was getting out, including his killers. But zoom out and the problem gets bigger. Poverty, lack of opportunity, systemic racism, communities abandoned by the same systems supposed to protect them. Was Londra a victim or a criminal? Both. That's the complexity people don't want to face. It's easy to judge, it's harder to understand. The system failed Laundrie, but it's been failing people like him for decades. Could Londra's death have been prevented? Maybe, but it would have taken more than an ankle bracelet. Violence interruption programs like the Cure Violence model have shown results. Trained mediators, people with street credibility, step in before beefs turn deadly. They don't wait for the system to act, they intervene in real time. Better risk assessments for bail could have flagged Londra as high risk, not just his charges, but his affiliations, his enemies, his visibility. The courts needed to see the full picture. Staggered or protected releases for high-risk individuals could have saved his life. Don't release someone at a predictable time in a predictable location when everyone knows they're a target. Change the schedule, add security, make it harder for killers to plan. Community investment matters. Jobs, education, resources. Give young people alternatives to the streets. Give them a reason to choose a different path. Breaking generational cycles of trauma starts with support, therapy, mentorship, safe spaces. Londra's family lost his father, his brother, his cousin. That kind of pain doesn't just disappear. It gets passed down. Addressing root causes means tackling guns, poverty, and inequality head-on. It's not sexy, it's not quick, but it's necessary. And music? Support positive expression. Give artists platforms that don't require them to risk their lives for views. Is it realistic? Maybe not in the short term, but hope exists. Change is possible. It just requires people to care enough to fight for it. Laundry deserved better. So do the thousands of others still caught in the cycle. Londra Sylvester was 31 years old. A father's son, a brother, a fiancé, a rapper with talent that could have taken him somewhere else if the streets had let him go, but they didn't. His life was a mix of talent, trauma, and tragedy, born into violence, raised in it, and ultimately killed by it. The human cost? A 31-year-old man dead, 2 women traumatized, one shot in the knee, the other grazed in the face. A fiancé left grieving, wondering if posting that bail was the worst decision she ever made. And the questions? They still haunt this case. How did the shooters know? Was there a leak? Who ordered the hit? Why has no one been arrested? 64 bullets wasn't just murder. It was a statement, a message written in blood for anyone paying attention. This is what happens when you cross the line. This is what happens when you're KTS Dre. This case says something about Chicago, about America, about all of us. It says we've normalized violence to the point where a man can be executed outside a jail and the world just keeps spinning. But behind the headlines, behind the statistics, behind the drill rap persona, there was a real person. Someone who laughed, loved, struggled, and tried to survive in a world that gave him very few options. The violence hasn't stopped. Chicago's streets are still bleeding, and until something changes, really changes, more names will be added to the list. If this story hit you, don't just scroll past. Share it. Let people know what's really happening out here. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment. Have you ever seen violence like this in your city? What needs to change? Thanks for rocking with our channel. We'll see you in the next one.